Hi YouTube, it's me Tobot Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the second of this month's Korean toy reviews. Right, the figure I've got to show you today is a minifigure from the Tobot V series. This isn't the figure that I wanted to review for you this month because I was planning on getting the rest of the Miniforce Penta X figures, but unfortunately I ordered them off a Chinese seller thinking I was getting the full size, sort of equivalents to the full size Korean originals, and what they sent me was like some downsized KO knockoffs, which are absolutely poor quality. So that didn't work out. So I ordered this thing off an eBay seller. It wasn't cheap, but hey ho, I wanted to get it anyway. So what have I got? Right, what I've got to show you today is a mini figure of a figure that I've already got. Now the figure that I've already got, and I've done a review on it already, is Tobot V2 Captain Jack. Now I've got him here in his alt mode, and this figure he looks amazing in his robot mode and his vehicle mode, but then you go to articulate him and you realise he's got frozen shoulders, and it just totally ruins the deal for the whole figure. The whole figure is completely ruined with the frozen shoulders. It just really, really crap that they did that. So now we've got the mini version. So Tobot or Young Toys like doing mini versions of their big figures. They've done it for previous toy lines. I've got a Tobot Athlon Mini Rocky, and I've got the big Rocky. So I've done this before, where I've bought the mini version of the big figure. Hello Carbot do it as well with their mini figures. So there's a lot of it going on in the Korean thing. They do like mini versions of the big figures. Anyway, so we've got mini Captain Jack, and let's have a quick look at the box. Now I'd like to say one thing before I get into this review. There's probably going to be some people who watch this video and are going to batter away in the comments saying I've got this character's name wrong. They're saying, oh, he's called Captain Zack, not Captain Jack. Well, I'm sorry to say, but see, Captain Jack. Look on the front, Captain Jack. Captain Jack is his original Korean name. When they did the English dub, they renamed a bunch of the characters with slightly different or brand new names. And this guy got called Captain Zack. I assume because, in the English-speaking world, they were probably trying... so it was for licensing reasons, because people would be thinking of Captain Jack Sparrow from, Pirates of the Caribbean. That's probably why they changed his name to Captain Zack. Anyway, but I'm going to refer to him as Captain Jack because this is the Korean original. That's his original name. So if you don't like me calling it Captain Jack and you'd rather I call it Captain Zack, then tough. I'm calling it Captain Jack. Right, so there we go. There's his alt mode. It's a blue sports car, supercar. Very good version of the original. I mean, I love this alt mode on the original. It just looks amazing, and they've captured the look. I mean, if I bring that forwards a bit, They've captured the look of the car quite well. The only difference, and this is a thing with these minifigures that Tobot and Carbot do, is the lack of paint apps. I mean, now you look at this thing. It's a pretty blue car with black windows. It's got black wing mirrors. It's got black wheels. Go around the back, a little bit of red paint on the rear lights, but that's it. Now you look at the original car, it's got the black in the grills here, it's got the white in the headlights, it's got this red stripe that goes across the top, silver wheels, it's even got like a little logo on the side, it's got a bit more red paint on the back, and it's got this sort of gunmetal grey around the rear skirt. But this thing hasn't got that. It's lacking those paint apps. They're only minor on the vehicle mode. I mean, yeah, you could put a bit of silver on the wheels, you could put a bit of black on the grills, white on the lights, maybe do that gunmetal around the back, and it would match, and the red stripe on the top, and it would match the big one for colours. No big deal. So yeah, it's a vehicle. The box it came in, as you can see, it's a small box. It's got like the plastic clamshell inside. It's got his pictures on the side. alt mode, robot mode. Yeah, Tobot Mini Captain Jack. And it's a little box. Comes with instructions. They're only one-sided. The transformation is very, very simple on this thing. Very straightforward. It follows the transformation design or suite of the original figure, just not with so many bells and whistles. But for the most part, you know, it's a mini version of the big one, with the exception of a few simplifications and a lack of paint apps. But apart from that, it's pretty good. It's a decent little car. It plugs together very firmly. It's got pinned wheels, so it rolls really, really good. It's got like the toe key stuffed in the back. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's just a shame if they'd have spent a little bit more money putting a few extra paint apps on it. It just would have made that much difference. But if you think the paint apps on the vehicle are bad, you wait till you see the robot mode. Right, so speaking of robot mode, let's get transforming. Now, as this is a smaller figure, I was thinking of doing it as you know, like a small stuff review. That being the case, this video would be over already. But because I wanted to do the direct comparisons with the big figure, I decided to stretch it out to a full review. So anyway, there it is, and the transformation is very, very simple. So you look underneath, and you get the side panels of the car, and then you sort of pull them out a bit. Then you grab the rear quarters of the car and you pull them out on some hinge joints, and then sort of bring them up like that. You can then take the torso and angle it up, but first of all you've got to get this toe key. You've got to pull it out, bring that up. This roof section just sort of folds down the back. You've then got his head, which is inside, so you can stick your hand up inside, push this panel up, bring it round, and there's his head sculpt. The arm transformation, just bring those shoulder pieces round, and then you just fold the arms down like so, and that's the top half done. And the bottom half, you split the legs, fold back the heels, and then twist around these pieces, and there you go. There you go, Captain Jack in his robot mode. And at first glance, it looks pretty good. Looks all right. But then let me just transform the big one, and you'll see what the differences are. Right. So let's just bring him forward to try and get them about the right scale. Now look at the difference. See the difference of the paint apps? Distinct lack of white for the most part. I mean, the white on the thighs, the white on his waist, the white on his arms is missing. Obviously, the gunmetal, the dark grey on the shoulders is missing. And then you've got the red on the legs, the gunmetal on the legs, the black on the legs. You know, so many colours are missing. So, I mean, if you look at the illustration on the box, it clearly shows the colours that the figure should be in, and then you've got the colours that the figure is in. Yeah, biggest gripe about the robot mode is the lack of paint again, and there's a lot to moan about here. Yeah, so like I said, you know, all the white's missing, bit of grey on the legs, the red. It's it's a shame, really, but then again, this is typical of when the Koreans do these minifigures of the big figures. They tend to, you know, skimp on the paint quite a lot, and both Hello Carbot and Tobot toy lines are renowned for it, you know. Anyway, but apart from that, if you can look past the lack of paint, it's not a bad little mini version of the big figure. I mean, yeah, they've taken some liberties with the engineering. The main one is the roof section's just one big piece, whereas on the big one it's got, you know, the front of the windscreen folds underneath, and then the back of it folds back like that, so it folds up to make a much neater backpack on the big one. Other liberties they've taken, it hasn't got individual toes, it's just got like molded toes. Now this guy is sort of in what's called the extension mode. Now this guy has got two modes. He's got like the straight robot mode, and then he's got the extension mode. He's in the extension mode now because he's got these pieces that fold out of there. He's got these spikes that come out of his knees, like so. He's got the little hook that comes out of there. And then when you put the toe key on, you clip it on, you get these little black things, these thin things pop up on the front. But yeah, so the extension mode on the Tobot V figures, it gave them a bit of a power up, and it changes their robot mode slightly to give them this extra ability to fight the bad guys. You know, it's a gimmick. It's pretty cool though. I mean, he looks cool in his extension mode, but this toy has basically got him in extension mode, with the exception of the legs probably. He's got his hook hand out. He's got the little things. The little thin things sticking up, even though they're blue plastic instead of painted black. Yeah, and he's got the toe key permanently fitted. So yeah, it's all right. It's got some of the details of the big one, a bit simplified, but apart from that, it's not bad. Now, the big problem with the big one, as I said in my original review, is the frozen shoulders. The shoulders do not move. The only articulation you've got on the arm is that, the transformation joint, and then you can just see you're very restricted on what you can do with the arms. Now, this thing fixes the fault of the big one because he's got ball jointed shoulders. This is what the shoulders on the big one should have done. They should do this. It's got a little bit of in and out, and it's got all the way round. And if you look at the way it's engineered, it's got like a pivot for the arm, and then it's got a pivot for the shoulder. And if you look inside here, there's a pivot for the arm, and there's a pivot for the shoulder, but the pivot for the shoulder is locked. If they'd have freed it off, they could have got working shoulders on this guy as well, because it's got a common pin that goes through the wheel into the shoulder joint. All they had to do was just unlock it, allow it, do a little bit of a bit of clearance to allow the joint to free spin on the shoulder, and they could have given him shoulder articulation, but they chose not to. They just locked it. Whereas this thing, it's a ball joint, but it does the same as what the big one should do, but you know, it's so simple. Yeah, articulation. He hasn't got anything at the head. Shoulders work marvellously. Little bit of in and out. Obviously they've got the butterfly joint that goes up and down for transformation. Then you've got the arm that bends forward. It obviously bends back for transformation, but the arm now can go right forwards. So he's got much better articulation on the arms. It's got nothing at the waist. Now the hips on this guy. The original one has got, you know, he's got nice ratchet hips that give you a really good range of motion. This one's got ball jointed hips, but there's a problem. There's restricted clearance on the waist. When you pull the legs forward, you have to sort of angle them outwards, or that happens. They just pop off because the waist is angled like that, and you've got the ball next to it, and when you move the ball joint for the leg, it just comes off. It hits the side of the leg. If you angle it, you can get the leg to come out, but if you hold it straight, it just pops off. So yeah, they didn't give ample clearance for the ball joints on the hips on this guy. So you know they just come off that easy when you're moving the legs. So yeah, that's a shame. That's a bit of an oversight. But anyway, knees, a good solid 90, which is better than the big one. The big one only goes to about 45 degrees. So it's got better knee articulation and better shoulder articulation than the big figure. Apart from that, I mean, you could get a little bit of twist on the ball joint again, but they'll pop off if you go too far. Yeah, it's all right. It's a minifigure, right? So isn't as well painted, isn't as well engineered as the big one, even though the big one's got some glaring faults in its engineering, which this thing strangely corrects with its simplified articulation. Go figure. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, if you was to make the effort to put some paint on this to make it look more like, you know, the Scream model, then it would probably look a lot better in both modes. You know, just apply a little bit of paint. But why should you paint your own figures when they should be putting the paint on at the factory, you know? Anyway, so it's not a bad little figure. It's all right. I got this off eBay. It cost me about 25 quid, which is a bit too much for this thing, really. But if I was to buy this out of G-Market, I'd be paying a hell of a lot more, because they kill you on the shipping for little figures. They really do. The Korean sellers are crazy. They charge you, like 1.5 kilos to ship, something that weighs probably about 150 grams, halfway around the world, because they're stupid. Yeah, so Tobot V2 Mini Captain Jack. He's okay. He's all right. He's a decent little simplified and downsized version of the big figure. But when you get nitpicky, you can see all its faults and flaws, most notably paint work. But apart from that, he's not bad. If you can get him for a decent price, he's okay. He's all right. So that's been my review, my second Korean review. Like I said, it should have been, Miniforce Penta X figures, but it wasn't to be. I will go into detail in my end of month bot haul, which is coming in a couple of days. So if you want to sit tight for that, then you can do. But apart from that, this video is over. I've been Too Far Wilderness. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.